Life is nothing but a fight, a series of battles fought first within ourselves and then in the world. With these words, Albert Caraco introduces one of his most significant works, Le Livre des combats de l'âme, the Book of the Battles of the Soul. Published in 1949, when Caraco was just 30 years old, this work represents an intense and personal look at the internal struggle that each individual faces to give meaning to their existence. This book, with its softer and more poetic language, clearly stands out from the ruthlessness and nihilism of his later works, offering a more intimate reflection and a glimpse of a young author still searching for a balance between hope and disillusionment. Le Livre des combats de l'âme was one of his first significant publications. Before this text, Caraco had already explored writing with lesser-known works, some of which have been lost or remain difficult to find. Despite its extremely limited audience at the time of its publication, this work managed to stand out by winning the Edgar Poe Prize in France in 1949. This recognition underlined the literary and philosophical value of the text, rich in meaning. Yet, despite the award, the work did not find widespread acceptance among readers of the time, as its intimate and profound themes clashed with the dominant literary trends, which often favored more direct and less philosophical narratives. Over time, this work has remained largely in the shadows, overshadowed by more famous works such as Post Mortem and Brevière du Chaos, which represent the maturity of his nihilistic thought. However, Le Livre des combats de l'âme returns a unique value for those who wish to understand the roots of his philosophy. To this day, it is rarely reprinted and difficult to find, available almost exclusively in French. Now, in this video, we will see some excerpts to try to understand its meaning. If you are interested in exploring his other works, leave a comment to indicate your interest. We will be happy to explore them further and propose them here on the channel. In addition, we have already published a video that offers an overview of this unique and controversial thinker. If you have not seen it yet, I leave the link in the description and you will find it easily clickable at the end of this content. Albert Caraco was born in Istanbul in 1919 into a Sephardic family and spent his childhood moving between Europe and South America, seeking refuge from the persecution and political instability of the time. These experiences profoundly influenced his sensibility and his vision of the world, shaped by the brutality of the Second World War and the chaos of the human condition. In Le Livre des combats de l'âme, Caraco explores internal conflicts with a prose that intertwines philosophy, spirituality, and poetry, offering a universal reflection on the struggle to make sense of one's existence in a world dominated by uncertainty. Now we get into the work, but as always, I remember that you can support the channel by leaving a like, and if you haven't done so, by subscribing to the channel. Thanks to all the people who support us. The soul is the theater of the conflict between light and darkness. The work opens with this reflection on the soul, described as a place of incessant battle. Caraco sees the soul as the center of a continuous tension between opposites. On the one hand, the highest aspirations and desires, on the other, the fears and limits that each individual carries within. This duality, according to him, cannot be avoided but must be accepted and understood. Only through this awareness can one embark on a journey towards greater inner clarity. He then continues by addressing the theme of faith, the comfort of those who cannot bear the weight of the truth. This is how he defines faith, considering it a support for those who cannot face reality in its harshness. But he does not limit himself to criticizing it. He also recognizes it as a bridge, a means to connect to a higher dimension, to find meaning in existence. At the same time, however, he warns of the risk of depending too much on it. A blind faith for him can transform into a mental prison, limiting the ability to think freely and critically. This dualism characterizes his approach. Faith is a necessary but fragile human creation. Throughout the work, the author also emphasizes how the internal struggle is an essential part of life. He who does not fight is already lost. With this statement, he urges us not to shy away from confronting ourselves. For him, all personal growth inevitably passes through the recognition of our own weaknesses and contradictions. It is not about winning or losing, but about undertaking a path that leads to a deeper understanding of what we are. The fight is never an end in itself, but becomes a tool to transform our life into something more authentic. This concept is further illustrated with a powerful metaphor. The soul is like a bird caught in a storm, seeking light, but having to go through wind and rain. This image clearly describes the difficulty of facing one's inner journey. The bird represents the essence of every person who aspires to light, a symbol of understanding and serenity. Yet to reach it, it is necessary to go through storms, overcome obstacles, and face the challenges that the path presents. Caraco does not promise easy solutions, but emphasizes that only those who have the courage to travel this path can discover their true essence. He then dedicates a large part of the work to the relationship between the individual and the outside world. He writes, "The world is a reflection of the battles we fight within ourselves." In this sentence, he proposes a vision according to which what happens in the external world is nothing more than a projection of what are internal conflicts. The chaos, contradictions, and order that we perceive around us are closely linked to the battles we experience within. Only by accepting these conflicts and working on them can we come to understand the disorder of the world and perhaps influence it in a positive way. Another central element of the work is the theme of solitude. Loneliness is the laboratory of the soul. Caraco does not see this as a condemnation, but as a necessary condition for growth and self-reflection. It is in the silent space of isolation that one finds the time and energy to better understand who one is and what one's place in the world is. Far from being an escape from reality, solitude becomes an opportunity to reorganize thoughts, deal with emotions, and find a clearer direction for one's path. As he approaches the end of the text, he offers a reflection that summarizes the entire work. Inner peace is not the absence of conflicts, but the ability to face them with wisdom. This thought represents the heart of Le Livre des combats de l'âme. The inner struggle for him must not be feared or avoided. Indeed, it is precisely through the acceptance of these challenges that one can achieve a form of balance and maturity. Wisdom is not the elimination of problems, but the ability to manage them with serenity and determination. The work ends with a message that sounds like an invitation to look at one's life with awareness and to value it as a unique path. A concluding phrase that celebrates the value of experiences, whether they are victories or defeats. Every battle tells who we are, and in every scar is engraved our path. Every difficult moment leaves a mark, but it is precisely in those marks that we find the testimony of who we have become and how much we have grown.